Beijing, China, in an effort to hedge against US hegemony, and what could be a global game changer. The world's top oil importer, China, is preparing to denominate crude oil futures contracts in Chinese yuan to be convertible into gold. The move would allow oil exporting countries to bypass benchmarks denominated in US petrodollars, creating what will almost certainly be the most critical Asian oil benchmark, according to a report by Nikkei Asian Review. Typically, crude oil is priced in relation to Brent or West Texas Intermediate futures, both denominated in US dollars. The move by the Chinese will allow oil exporting countries such as Iran and Russia to bypass US sanctions by trading in yuan instead of US dollars. The move is a direct result of the US proclivity to use the dollar as a weapon against countries that refuse to bend to the imperial will of the United States. To make the yuan-denominated contracts more appealing, China intends to make the yuan fully convertible to gold on the Shanghai and Hong Kong exchanges. The rules of the global oil game may begin to change enormously, said Luke Groman, founder of US-based macroeconomic research company FFTT. According to a report by oilprice.com. Last month, the Shanghai Futures Exchange and its subsidiary Shanghai International Energy Exchange, AIN, successfully completed 4 tests in production environment for the crude oil futures, and the exchange continues with preparatory works for the listing of crude oil futures, aiming for the launch by the end of this year. Yuan-backed oil and gold futures mean that users can be paid in physical gold, said Alistair MacLeod, head of research at Gold Money, a gold-based financial services company based in Toronto. While some potential foreign traders have expressed reservations that the contract would be priced in yuan, according to analysts who spoke to Nikkei Asian Review, backing the yuan-priced futures with gold would be appealing to oil exporters, especially to those that would rather avoid US dollars in trade. It is a mechanism which is likely to appeal to oil producers that prefer to avoid using dollars, and are not ready to accept that being paid in yuan for oil sales to China is a good idea either, MacLeod said. These recent moves by the Chinese are part of a larger de-dollarization strategy by other world powers intent on creating a more multipolar global framework. As we reported in July, the formation of a BRICS gold marketplace, which could bypass the US petrodollar in bilateral trade, continues to take shape as Russia's largest bank, state-owned Sberbank, announced that its Swiss subsidiary had begun trading in gold on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Russian officials have repeatedly signaled that they plan to conduct transactions with China using gold as a means of marginalizing the power of the dollar in bilateral trade between the geopolitically powerful nations. This latest movement is quite simply the manifestation of a larger geopolitical game afoot between great powers. A report by the Center for Research on Globalization clarifies the implications of these most recent moves by the Russians and the Chinese in an ongoing drive to replace the US petrodollar as the global reserve currency. Fast forward to March 2017. The Russian Central Bank opened its first overseas office in Beijing as an early step in phasing in a gold-backed standard of trade. This would be done by finalizing the issuance of the first federal loan bonds denominated in Chinese yuan and to allow gold imports from Russia. The Chinese government wishes to internationalize the yuan, and conduct trade in yuan as it has been doing, and is beginning to increase trade with Russia. They've been taking these steps with bilateral trading, native trading systems and so on. However, when Russia and China agreed on their bilateral $400 billion pipeline deal, China wished to, and did, pay for the pipeline with yuan treasury bonds, and then later for Russian oil in yuan. This evasion of, and unprecedented breakaway from, the reign of the US dollar monetary system is taking many forms, but one of the most threatening is the Russians trading Chinese yuan for gold. The Russians are already taking Chinese yuan, made from the sales of their oil to China, back to the Shanghai Gold Exchange to then buy gold with yuan-denominated gold futures contracts, basically a barter system or trade. The Chinese are hoping that by starting to assimilate the yuan futures contract for oil, facilitating the payment of oil in yuan, the hedging of which will be done in Shanghai, it will allow the yuan to be perceived as a primary currency for trading oil. The world's top importer, China, and exporter, Russia, are taking steps to convert payments into gold. This is known. So, who would be the greatest asset to lure into trading oil for yuan? The Saudis, of course. All the Chinese need is for the Saudis to sell China oil in exchange for yuan. If the House of Saud decides to pursue the exchange, the Gulf petromonarchies will follow suit, and then Nigeria, and so on. This will fundamentally threaten the petrodollar. In 2014, Russia and China signed two mammoth 30-year contracts for Russian gas to China. The contracts specified that the exchange would be done in renminbi, yuan, and Russian rubles, not in dollars. That was the beginning of an accelerating process of de-dollarization that is underway today, according to strategic risk consultant F. William Ingdahl. Russia and China are now creating a new paradigm for the world economy and paving the way for a global de-dollarization. A Russian-Chinese alternative to the dollar in the form of a gold-backed ruble and gold-backed renminbi or yuan, could start a snowball exit from the US dollar, and with it, a severe decline in America's ability to use the reserve dollar roll to finance her wars with other people's money, Ingdahl concludes. The dollar will collapse, it's being attacked on all sides. We know many of you are only interested in accessing your hidden accounts at the Federal Reserve, but what you must realize is that those notes will never be allowed to be accessed by you. By the time they do, they will serve only as a means to start a campfire. Many have stated that we'll never accept a RFID chip as well. We hope you will remain as steadfast when your dollars are worthless and they offer it to you as a solution to restore economic stability and commerce. We are anonymous. We are legion. We are the revolution. Expect us.